Between the Lanes. We're back. April episode 17. Coach Pierre on the scene. Coach Johnny Nola Jenkins right there from the Oval Office of Proviso West and Hillside. And our guest, the Hall of Famer, 5-time state champion coach of East St. Louis Flyers, currently the head coach of Cahokia High School, Barry Malloyd. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes. We finally got you on. A bunch of our previous guests have mentioned your name, so we say, hey, let's get this guy on the show. Let's see why everybody's mentioning you. So before we get into kind of how you got to where you are now with the Hall of Fame and championships and things like that, we kind of want to get a little bit of background on you. But the first question I have for us north of I-80 Chicagolanders, we've heard a lot of nicknames given to the city of East St. Louis. From a sports standpoint, I've heard 89 Blocks, I've heard East Boogie, East Side, City of Champions. What is the nickname we should be calling East St. Louis?
The nickname that you should be calling East St. Louis is definitely the City of Champions, because that title speaks for itself. It's a city not only champions in athletics, but academics and all genres of endeavors, man, from the arts, the sciences. We have doctors, prominent doctors, lawyers, engineers, just you name it. We're a city of champions because of the people who have come and have put the name East St. Louis on the map with their excellence.
That's right. It's definitely it's a bunch of famous people. We from a track perspective, we know of the Joiners, Jackie and Al and Don Harper. And I think Miles Davis is from East St. Louis. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Jimmy Connors. It's a lot. Darius Miles, a bunch of them.
Yes,
the list is long, so we don't want to be here for 45 hours. But let's get right to it. Once again, thank you for being on. Obviously, you from East St. Louis, as we mentioned multiple times. Can you kind of give us a background on what was it like growing up in East St. Louis, from your younger days and things like that towards your high school years?
Oh yeah, East St. Louis, growing up, place where most inner cities you have your negatives, your drugs, your gangs, your dilapidated housing, and all of those ills. But East St. Louis is very, very strong in the fact that we support and love each other. And so that love, that bond, that unity helps to dispel a lot of the negative stereotypes about East St. Louis. Growing up for me, like I said, it was a great time to grow up in the 70s. For me, especially in sports, also with academics, my mother and my father were both educators. And so academics first was always the motto of the house.
Those are dope.
It's called a student athlete, not an athlete student. So we had to get our books, because if you were failing or if you were missing assignments, sports was not null and void. You were going to be home doing your work because your academics come first. And so again, like I said, it was just community effort. Everybody supported each other in the sports world. They wanted to see us do well. They wanted to see us go off and become something great and then come back and give back to the city. So it was just a great time because so many stars were aligned at East St. Louis Senior High School, Lincoln Senior High School, Assumption Senior High School. It was just a great time to be in East St. Louis in that environment of excellence, from academics to athletics. The standard of excellence has always been the standard. And so that's what myself and all of those in that generation strive to achieve, that level of excellence that was expected of us. You were expected to be great, nothing less. You were expected to be great. And so I always tell my athletes, do you want to be good or do you want to be great? If you want to be good, just keep doing what you're doing, and they'll say you did a good job. But if you want to be great, you got to put the work in. You got to have the work ethic. You have to have that dog mindset that nobody can beat me at what I'm doing at the time that I'm doing it. So that's kind of the environment that I grew up in.
Wow. Well, how did, Coach, how did you get started in the sport, including your youth experience growing up? Excuse me.
Well,
the first time coaching.
My youth experience growing up, I talk about a lot the fact that I started off as a miler. My coach in the 7th grade just looked at me and just said, Malloyd, you know, I wasn't the fastest sprinter. I wasn't doing any jumps or hurdling. I was just running the mile just to be on the team. And East St. Louis, you're going to get Joan. They're going to throw hots on you, especially being last, your girlfriend laughing, and everybody's laughing. And so you're going to do two things. You're going to piss or get off the pot. And so I decided to just challenge some of the guys that were hurdling at that time. My track coach told me to go home. He was going to send me home if I go those hurdles again because I'm going to kill myself. But that was a chance I was willing to take, or risk I was willing to take, because I did not want to run that mile anymore. And so that kind of led to the development in summer track AAU. The East St. Louis Regulars, Coach Nino Fenoy, the legendary Coach Nino Fenoy, along with Dennis Brooks and George Ward. Those guys had a AAU summer track, and that's where the development happened. You know, the events, the skilled events, the hurdles, the jumps. That's where those guys were genius at in developing athletes in East St. Louis. And so that was the start. But as far as coaching, I never, ever dreamt of being a coach. Never, ever wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be on Broadway, brother, under the spotlight. But I had come home, and at Lincoln Middle School, I was doing some substitute teaching. And one of the guys knew that I had run track and had went on to college, done well. And he asked me would I just come out and help volunteer. Well, I helped to volunteer with the hurdlers. They did well. That coach, they asked me, do I want to become the head coach of Lincoln Middle School? And I'm like, no, I'm good. They said, no, we need you to be the head coach of Lincoln Middle School boys track. And so that was the start of it. In the year 2000, we won 7 straight middle school state titles. And so that led me to the high school. I was coaching assistant coach to Roscoe Whitfield, legendary coach Roscoe. And after he retired, I moved up to the head coach in 2013. And
hold up, so Coach. Hold on. I know you East Side Flyers are fast, so we're not about to make this a 10-minute show. We're not doing that. I want to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, you gave us your upbringing and your youth experiences. You seem to skipped over your high school experiences and your accomplishments. I know you touched on cross country, but I'm not going to sit here and let you skip out on your successes as a high school athlete. You know, a lot of times.
Okay, well, let me go to Lincoln Senior High School.
There we go.
From Lincoln Tigers. So what's strange about the transition was because I lived on Vogel Place, which is 34th Street in East St. Louis. All the students from a certain area block, everybody went to East St. Louis Senior High School, especially those people from Clark Junior High School. And so all of my siblings went to East Side, and the coach from Lincoln, because I was registered at East St. Louis Senior High School in 1979. And I went my first day, I went to East St. Louis Senior High School, got my schedule and everything. But the next day, the head coach from Lincoln Senior High School had come to my home that morning and picked me up in his brown doodle looking van, brother. He picked me up, and he did that for about a week and a half. And now I understand it because the 10-day enrollment. But that's how I ended up at Lincoln Senior High School. And at Lincoln Senior High School, it was just a culture of excellence. It was, from the the custodian all the way to the principal. Everybody wanted you to be great. Everybody expected you to come to school every day, be respectful, be responsible. It was just a culture of excellence. And so in 1981, Lincoln Senior High School won the state championship, which was our first outright state championship title, because we had tied, I think, in 1975. But in 1981, we won it. We won with 76 points, the most points ever scored at that time. Then 82, I was able to win the long jump, win the 110 highs, took second in the 330 lows, and we took second in on our 4x1, and we scored 87 points, which was the most points scored at that time. Again, so we broke our previous record. Yes.
I'm curious. Actually, 1398, by the way, in the 110 hurdles to win. That's fast. The long jump. What was your jump? Because we have another long jump state champion on this broadcast as well. I want to know who jumped. What was your winning jump?
I jumped 23.5.
What you jumped, Johnny?
23.11 indoor, 24.3
No, it's not.
outdoor.
We asked Johnny, what did you jump at the state meet? Cut it out.
24.3.
You won the state meet 24.3?
Wow, brother.
Yeah.
Wow, that's outstanding, brother. Congratulations, man.
Johnny got lucky.
Got lucky. That was my first jump in the prelims.
Wow.
I only jumped once in the prelims.
Well, and Coach, all this time, I never knew you were a state champion in the long jump.
Yeah, 1988.
It is good, brother. This is good. This is a learning experience. Right on.
Right. Hey, Coach, so those Lincoln teams in your era, I believe you were on 2 of those team titles. Correct me if I'm wrong. That Lincoln program won 4 in a row, by the way, and then senior won in 85. Let me ask you this, because I don't know how they did it, because a lot of times you see at the state track meet, Lincoln get first and senior get second, or vice versa, whatever. When it came time for parades and celebrations, was the second place team invited, even though it was in the same city?
No. This is the city with no pity. Second place, great job. You did great, but we're gonna just give you a handshake and a certificate, and you go back next year and bring home the state championship. But in East St. Louis, they always honor and celebrate the athletes, whether it's the second place or fifth place. But it's the first place. It's that championship team that's going to get the parade, that's going to get all the accolades and the Letterman jackets. And at that time, we weren't getting rings, but the Letterman jackets and all of the accolades, brother. So everybody wanted that feeling of being honored and celebrated throughout the city with parades and all this kind of stuff with family, friends, and everybody, classmates, team, everybody's there. So, and they not only the parade, it's a huge pep rally, brother, that goes on. So the entire city comes out, from the mayor, just everybody comes out and celebrate those teams. And so those were great days, man. And even to this day, even at Eastside, our teams have taken second and taken a third, but hey, it's a good job, but we're not gonna have no parade. But when you win it, brother, and I think that's the ultimate feeling of knowing you are the best in the state, and the city does come together and celebrate those achievements.
Yeah, I know that at some point, I know the football team won once. Obviously, the girls' track team won. I'm curious because obviously there was a split between Lincoln and senior for most sports, but somehow they came together for football. So I guess they like each other for that, huh? But like, how real was that rivalry for, I guess, non-football activities or sport?
Oh man, the rivalry in football and basketball was second to none. It's almost like Alabama, the entire city was shut down. It's standing room only at the football, basketball games because that rivalry was so ingrained because you either love that orange and blue or you love that orange and black. You finna bleed something, but it's going down whenever those two teams connected. And like I said, it was camaraderie, but it was a whole lot of love because we're all from these 89 blocks. So we all we got. But we would go at it, brother. And to this day, noise is still being talked, trash still being talked. And even though Lincoln has closed, the memories, the legacy is still there, and the history is still there for our city. So, oh man, it's real, brother. It's real. Even today, if you ask somebody where you from, this is how you'll know. You'll ask, hey, what high school did you go to? And they'll say, oh, I went to East Side. But if you ask a person from Lincoln, what high school did you go to? It's as if there was no other. I went to Lincoln. And they say it with authority, they say it with pride, and that's just the way that is, brother.
Love it. In-town rivals. That's crazy. Like I said, that's crazy how schools in one town get first and second at the state meet. That's insane. Let's fast forward a little bit. We talked about your high school days. College, you went to an HBCU. Which one did you go to?
Right. I had a full scholarship when I graduated in 1982 to Arkansas State.
Okay.
The reason of going to Arkansas State because Al Joyner, also from East St. Louis, was at Arkansas State with some other track guys from Lincoln. And so I got to Arkansas State. I didn't like the coach because they promised that Thomas Hill would be my hurdle coach, and Thomas Hill had taken third, I think, at the 68 Olympics. Rodney Milburn at that time was the Olympic world record holder and a gold medalist, but Thomas Hill had taken third. Thomas Hill was a psychology professor at Arkansas State, and I took his class just because I wanted my coach. I wanted to be around greatness and that type of thing, but that didn't pan out. So I ended up quitting. Started going to the parties, drinking at Mad Dog. Just lost for a minute because track and field was all that I had known, but I hated it. I hated going to practice. The coaches reading to me out of a book on how to hurdle, how to jump, and it was just horrible experience for me. Not only that, it was a culture shock because East St. Louis is 99.999% black, and so to be on this predominantly white campus with white professors, it was not the best experience for me. So in '84, when Al Joyner won the Olympics, he had come back and he was invited to the Pelican Relays. This was 1985. Pelican Relays was at Southern University. And since I wasn't running track at the time, Al, he asked me would I help drive him down to the Pelican Relays. Make a long story short, we get down on campus. I'm on this HBCU campus. I didn't even know what HBCU was. I just saw all these black people and the Greeks standing out and the gals looking good. And I mean, it was just exactly what I needed. It reminded me of home. So I hung out in the student center and Al was talking to the coach. So they find me and the coach, I go to his office and who is it but Rodney Milburn, a guy whose poster was hanging in my room, in my dorm room, because he was the world record holder and one of the best hurdlers ever. So I idolized Rodney Milburn, but he was the coach. I met him. I started telling him about his history. And so he said to me, I tell you what, if you beat my top hurdler tomorrow at the Pelican Relays, I'll give you a full scholarship. So, of course, I'm like, oh, no, I ain't practiced. I didn't tell him I had been drinking and all that, but I just wasn't ready for no embarrassment or none of that. And here he go. Oh, but you from East Boogie. And you scared? And I'm like, oh, man. And so I said, well, I ain't got no shoes. I ain't got no uniform to run in. Al says, well, we'll go to the mall and get him one. So make a long story short again, brother, I go to the Pelican Relays. I beat his top hurdler. I win the Pelican Relays. He gave me a full scholarship to Southern University, and that's where I graduated from in 1987.
All right. Southern University, the Jaguars.
Yes, sir. Home of the Jaguars.
Yes. By the way,
have you ever been to the Bayou Classic?
I have not. Johnny, you might have.
Yeah.
Southern and Grambling and the Superdome in New Orleans every year, man, is second to none. Nothing can touch that classic, brother. Nowhere in the country. Right.
So, by the way, your hurdle time at Arkansas State is still in the top 10 after all these years, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, number 7, still in the top 10.
Wow.
But I'm going to fast forward a little bit because I've asked some people who was around. I kind of want to get your perspective. Of course, we mentioned there was 2 campuses in East St. Louis, Lincoln and Senior. Can you kind of give us background on, number 1, how that split happened? Excuse me. How did that merger happen? What caused that? And from an athletic standpoint, one would assume, at least from a track standpoint, if these teams are getting first and second every year at the state meet, when they merge, they can't be stopped. That didn't happen right instantly. Can you kind of give background on what delayed success at East St. Louis Senior, the combined campus?
Okay, well, the merger happened in 1999. That was the last graduating class of Lincoln Senior High School, and it was due to my understanding, the enrollment at the time was low at East St. Louis Senior High School, which was a large building, and Lincoln never had an issue with enrollment and all of that. But anyway, the powers to be did what they did. They closed Lincoln, merged the 2 schools, but what they didn't factor in was that love for Lincoln Senior High School, because at that time, a lot of parents and teachers refused to go to East St. Louis Senior High School. And with that being said, the big powerhouse that they thought would happen in sports, a lot of parents sent their children up to the other schools, Belleville East, Belleville West, Altoff, O'Fallon, Edwardsville. And so now, even those seeds, you start seeing now a lot of our Black students from East St. Louis, family members from East St. Louis, their children now are at these other schools, and those programs are doing very well now because of that Black population. So I think just believing that it was, it's just going to be a powerhouse immediately, they didn't put into the equation the fact that camaraderie of people that went to Lincoln just refused to go to East Side, and some people from East Side refused to have Lincoln Tigers in their building. That's just how deep that rivalry was, and it's real. It's real today. And so I think that's what happened, brother. I think they didn't quite put those factors in, and it took a while. It almost took, I think that was 1999. And I think the football team may have won like in 2006. And so it took about 8 years before that a championship started beginning to roll out of East St. Louis.
Right. So let me ask you this, Coach. How tough it was growing up in East St. Louis? Like many of the Northerners don't know about it.
Well, I think like any city, it depends on what side of town you hang out on or what group you're hanging out with. For me, it wasn't considered. I didn't consider growing up in East St. Louis tough because, again, the neighborhood that we lived in. Like I said, both of my parents were educators. The rules were you be in the house before the street lights come on. And then just the environment, the church, and other circles that I hung out in, but it wasn't tough. I've heard about the toughness. I've seen the shootings and all of this type of thing, but I was just never really exposed to it personally. And I was living in certain kind of situations and environments. So again, it was that family bond where your parents, people in the community on the street, they just looked out for one another. If they saw you someplace where you weren't supposed to be, they finna beat your butt, get you home, tell your parents, and you're gonna get your butt beat again. And so it was that kind of cohesiveness. So East St. Louis is a tough it's a tough city. It's a tough city. Like I said, it has its ills, and it had it then. The drugs, the crime. At that time, the late 60s, early 70s, 80s, it wasn't as prevalent. That's when I guess the infestation of a lot of the drugs and the crime had just kind of begun. And at that time, I had went on off to school. So I always kept up with the city, read about it, heard about what was happening, and for some, it's tough. It's a tough city, man. So like with any other town, you just got to have the right kind of support system surrounding you to make it. Because if you don't, you will get caught up. You will get sucked up into the ills of the city, whether it's crime, drugs, gang banging, the whole 9 yards. Absolutely, it would happen, and it happens easily, and it happens far few in between. So,
let me ask you this, Coach.
Yes.
Kind of y'all won the state meeting too, and I'm asking you this because 2 of your kids off your team got killed.
Yes, sir. Roosevelt Davis and Sanchez Rhodes. And it broke my heart, man. Those guys had very bright futures. And gone too soon, brother. Gone too soon. And again, it's a part of the young men, they made their decisions. They had full scholarships. They were in schools. They just decided, hey, school ain't for me. I'm going to come back home. And everybody knows that when you come back home to East St. Louis and you just hanging out in the streets, you're going to do the things of the streets. You're going to get caught up in the things of the streets. And sometimes, it gets the best. It catches up with you. And because the streets are mean in East St. Louis. And they don't care that you was a superstar. In fact, many people clap when you fail because it's that old adage, you thought you was all that in high school, but look at you now, that kind of thing. So it's just unfortunate for both families, man. I think about those guys all the time. In fact, I got them in my office. I got pictures in my office. And I talk to the kids just as a reminder about decisions. Your decisions have consequences. And so, but again, both of them had bright futures, brother. Bright futures. But
yeah, that's I actually met those two. Actually, that was my first time meeting you at the Kentucky High School Invitational. You brought that, that class of 2016 team down and actually watched that interview I did with Roosevelt Davis from Kentucky.
Yes.
That's when I first met you, of course. I met them. And then, of course, we had a lot of conversation at the state meet with those guys. We do have those videos posted on the Mile Split platforms. So, yeah, that was a good group. Yeah, I believe y'all either swept or won 2 of the 3 relays, something to that nature. And won the team title. Yeah, but that was tough.
That was my first state championship team, that 2016 team.
Yeah.
So it was special for me, brother.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a challenging moment because they both happened in the same year, 2018, I believe.
Yes.
So that's tough.
6 months apart.
Yeah,
6 months apart.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I know obviously that's a challenge. I know that happened after your coaching, after they left your program. What kind of challenges are there coaching the East St. Louis? Like, can you kind of give us an idea of some of the challenges you have to deal with coaching the East St. Louis?
One of my biggest challenges was in 2018. Well, in fact, in 2016, when Roosevelt won that championship, I had retired.
That's right.
I was done. I had retired, and I had turned it over to my assistant coach, Ramon Johnson, who had been coaching with me at Lincoln Middle School, and then we won 7 together. Then he went on and won about 6 or 7 on his own under his leadership. And so I brought him up to the high school with me when I became the head coach in 2013. And so when we won in 2016, I had retired and turned it over to him. And then in 2018, issue with him happened, and they had to release him. So they asked me, the school board and the principal and the AD, hey, Malloyd, would you just take over the program to the end of this year? And this happened in April, and with him. So I only had about a month and a half to coach. And then a fight broke out at the track meet, at our home track meet, and they canceled our entire track season.
I remember that.
And that was the first time in East St. Louis history that East St. Louis was not present at the Illinois State track meet. And so the challenge for me, brother, was that, first of all, it was shocking. It was heartbreaking. The kids protested. The parents protested down at the board. There were sit-ins and all this kind of stuff that was going on. And our school board, at its board meeting, had voted to have our track team compete at the state meet. But the superintendent of schools, he decided that it was not going to happen. And so he did his thing with the state of Illinois. And so they upheld his decision to cancel the entire track season. So my top athletes were getting ready to transfer to Belleville West. But again, I was basically done because I was just there to get them through the season. Now that the season is canceled, I'm thinking I'm going to just walk back out into the sunset. Well, by this time, I did bond with some of the guys because I had already known them when they were freshmen in the program. And one of the ADs, they asked the AD, when the summer tracks start? And the answer was, we're not doing that shit. And when I heard it, it broke my heart because I saw how devastating these guys were because that's all they had known for years, track, summer track, or whatever. So their parents have them in the office the next day to transfer them out. I just so happened to be coming by the office. I saw them in there, and I asked them what they were doing, and they said, Coach, we up out of here. I mean, these kids were devastated. Scholarships were lost due to this decision. And so they said, Coach Malloyd, if you stay, we'll stay. And that's how I ended up back coaching at East St. Louis up until the last year.
Yeah, I remember that team. I think Willie Johnson,
Yes,
Marcus
sir.
Lampley, that crew. Yeah, you had some.
Yes,
I believe we had y'all in the top 3, top 5 in the Mindset Power Ranking, something to that nature. But yes, I do remember that. I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that group, that happened in 2018.
Yeah.
That group rebounded, brother. Willie Johnson won indoor nationals. That was my first indoor champion. But that summer, I did some things with him and some other guys. We were able to go ahead and have the summer program. He won the AAU Junior Olympics Outdoor Nationals. Willie Johnson was the guy that 2019 team won the 400 meters. Prior to that, he was the first athlete in East St. Louis history to be invited to compete in Cuba for Team USA. And so my first time being out of the country in Cuba for track ball for any reason. So those guys, man, they did outstanding, brother. They rebounded. So that was the challenge for me. How do I heal them? How do I make them believe that they're great, that they still can compete? A delay doesn't mean denial. So, just getting them through that challenge as young men, because, of course, they resented not only the AD, the principal, the superintendent. They just had a lot of resentment in their hearts. And just working that kind of bitterness out of them by showing them, hey, man, you got two choices. You can either be bitter or you can be better. And so, just working that was the greatest challenge that I had in my coaching career. And to see those guys rebound the way that they did and become the state champions that we always knew that they would be. They was going to win it in 2018, I believe. But just that was the greatest challenge, brother. That was the greatest challenge.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I asked this to Johnny and some previous guests. that we had. Coaching at the school, your alma mater. Obviously, you didn't. It was a merger, but what pressures, if any, did you feel coaching at your alma mater?
Well, when you say alma mater, because I had come from Lincoln Senior High
Yeah,
School,
I thought they merged.
and now I'm coaching at at East St. Louis Senior High School. Well, there was not always applause, because like I said, there was that always rivalry, that camaraderie. What is he doing over here? Is he gonna sabotage us? You know, you have to. I went through all of that. Some coaches, starting off, you know, didn't want me there, didn't believe I should be there. But nevertheless, it worked itself out. You know, you just be who you are, do what you do, and produce. Yep. And so that eliminated that challenge of me. Everybody knew I was from Lincoln, and here I am going to be the head coach of East St. Louis Senior High School, which was my rival. We had, you know, great rivalry, but I think it didn't matter in the end, because people saw I'm for the kids. I'm not here for it. I'm not here to, I don't need no headlines. I don't need nothing. I'm just here to coach, develop these young boys, to get them to the next level so they can be successful in life. And so when that began to be known and seen and implemented and things like that, I think that erased that gulf that was between East St. Louis, Lincoln, and East Side as far as coaching is concerned.
Yeah. And before Johnny get into old school versus new school, coming up in the coaching in the ranks, who are some of the coaches that you followed or had as mentors to help kind of guide you along the way of your coaching process?
Well, one of the major influences was my high school hurdle coach and long jump coach, Earl McDowell Sr. And at the time, Coach McDowell also was the athletic director for our district. So he made sure, without a question of a doubt, that the image that you set forth, the tone that you set, the development that you do always has to be that standard of excellence, what I talked about before, that is a standard, and anything less than that, you have failed. And so I got my greatest lesson learned with him was my first year coaching Lincoln Middle School. I didn't have a hurdler in the finals of the hurdles, and he just found that absolutely unacceptable. How can you be a state champion, a national champion in the hurdles, and you can't produce a hurdle in middle school? So that kind of started me knowing, hey, I got to go back to the basics. I got to put the time in. There are no shortcuts to success. And so since then, that following year, of course, the guy went on and broke the state record in the hurdles, and we went 1-2 the next year. So that started that coach, again, Coach Earl McDowell Sr. was the foundation, I would say, that I always hear his voice talking about excellence, talking about not only training an athlete, but you got to get to know them. You got to know what their family issues are. You got to know what their family dynamics are. When you get to know that kid and the athlete begin to trust you, that's how you begin to build them. You know, it's not just, you're going to do this, you got to do this. You have to have a relationship and a rapport with them to get the best up out of them when they know that you absolutely believe in them. So Earl McDowell was that person. And then there's Leonard Manley. Coach Leonard Manley was loud. He was the cheerleader. He was the motivator. And that's what I find myself, that they tell me all the time, my athletes tell me, Coach, we can hear you way across the field on the other side. But like I said, I had great coaches. And then there's the legendary Nino Fenoy, who has the recipe for success. And he tells me all the time, Coach, I don't care what you do, there are no shortcuts to success. It's hard work. They got to put the work in. They got to put the discipline in. And you got to be willing to come early and stay as late as needed in order to accomplish what you're trying to do. So God has given me a front row seat with Nino Fenoy to just watch his excellence and how he does what he does year after year after year after year after year, and his consistency is unreal, man, with what he does. So like I said, Coach Earl McDowell, Leonard Manley, and Coach Nino Fenoy have been my roadmaps, my guides to what I've learned and try to emulate in my program.
Yes, legendary. By the way, since you mentioned Fenoy, tell him we have a ABP out for him. We want him on the show.
Hey, yes, sir. Well,
tell him I said
you better call Jackie, because other than that, Coach Fenoy is just he's Coach Fenoy. I know people have been trying to get him for honors and awards and names on buildings and all of this, and he's just one of those that says, I'm good.
Hey, Coach, I feel you on that. Because I remember when me and you first met, and I was telling you, and when you had took over, man, I want y'all to come down here to compete down here, come down to Chicago. And you finally came, but man, it's me coaching at Proviso West. I started at Proviso East. I didn't go to Proviso East, and the rich tradition, and the kids don't understand that. Like, I told me, we wasn't no friends. We weren't friends when we had to compete against Proviso East. We were friends after the meet, but man, I'm not trying to beat you. I'm gonna beat you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So just listening to you with that, and being in that city, like, and I'll never forget what your coach told me. He said, Johnny, Proviso East and Proviso West reminds me of East St. Louis Lincoln, East St. Louis Senior. But the kids got to believe, like you said, the kids got to believe. We so close to the city, downtown. And what I love about when y'all come up here, the kids from Cahokia, Belleville, East St. Louis, I'm like, man, they don't have the big lights, the tall buildings. You know what I'm saying? And they come in and they get it. You know what I'm saying? They ain't no plan. They don't stay overnight, or you might leave East St. Louis at 4, 5 in the morning, or 3 in the morning to get down here to run. But when y'all get off the bus, the kids are ready to run.
But again, coaches, what you're saying is that tradition. See, our kids look at going to Chicago, which it is out of town. That's big time. We're going to Chicago. They get excited about that. But we let them know, well, when you get to Chicago, it's going to be goons in Chicago. It's not going to be playtime in Chicago. So you kind of balance the excitement of we're going out of town with the reality of we're here to take care of business. And so, yeah, man, I think the exposure is what our young people got to have. Because I tell anybody now, Jordan says this all the time, if you're going to be the best, you got to go where the best are and compete against the best. And a lot of our kids don't understand even track and field because they've never been exposed. What does it really look? What does track and field look like? And so that Roosevelt Davis crew, we've gone to Texas relays, we've been to the Penn relays, we've won the Kansas relays. So I try to expose them to all of the big time so they can see this picture, because a lot of times, it's like I'm dealing with now, they think they're supposed to get a full scholarship in track and field because they were out for track and field. Well, if you don't produce and if you don't look at the country and how the coaches look at the statistics from the country, where do you compare? Where do you stand up? How are you anticipating or wanting a full scholarship and you're running a time or jumping a distance that girls are doing? So you keep them in that reality check, and that's what I do with them, brother. But if I had to go back, if I could go back and knowing what I know now, I would expose my athletes to like the old school. You got to have study hall, because if you don't get them in the ninth grade and they just kind of have that lackadaisical attitude, we know that they pass, and then that's all we really want them to do is pass so they can be eligible. But when it comes, then they get to their senior year, that same mentality that they have when they get to college, they flunk out or they don't make it. I'm not going to say flunk out, but because they don't have the discipline. They don't have the discipline of studying and all of that. And parents, got to get them more involved, because parents don't know about NCAA clearinghouse. They don't know all the technical words that we use that these kids need FAFSA and all of that. And so we expect the kids, by the time they senior, this is something that they should know, but it's something that they don't know. And
Wow.
so I'm going to take more time this year, starting with that freshman group, got to groom them on understanding how this thing called scholarship works. How does FAFSA work? Why do you have to why is there an NCAA clearinghouse? You get some kids caught up, they pass their classes to graduate high school, but they didn't meet all of the requirements for clearinghouse. So schools can't offer you scholarship because you didn't have clearinghouse done. So now they're asking, well, what is clearinghouse? I ain't never heard of clearinghouse. And so that kind of thing, brother. So I see that there's a need now for just education not only with the athletes, but the parents about school, academics, and higher education, that next level, brother, how it all works. So I'm doing now when I go to Kentucky or we go out of town, Louisville, different states and cities, I find a college and I let them hear, set up a session where they can, hear and talk to people in financial aid and admissions, so that they'll know what the expectations and things are, because they don't know. They don't know. And
all that's being said, do you consider yourself an old school or new school coach?
Brother, I am absolutely 100% will not change old school, because old school works, coach. Old school works because when you're dealing with standards, for example, I had a kid that told me he quit because I told him, you can't show up on this bus with pajamas on, flip-flops on, and a do-rag on your head. Well, they don't say nothing to me in the other sports. I said, I don't coach the other sports. I coach track and field. You're a young man. You represent yourself, your family, da-da-da-da. And so that's just a standard that I'm going to stand on, because our image is everything. How we're perceived by others is everything in terms of our kids understanding in the real world, you can't show up for no job like that. And so you just have to, again, it worked for me. It worked for my family members. It worked for my athletes. And so I stand on old school. I know it's a new generation. I know they do a little things different. I will compromise on some things, but it's some things I will not. And so, for example, missing practice. Well, if you can't come to practice, you ain't finna run. Well, they let me run. I'm not those other coaches, brother. If you can't practice, if you can't come and give 100% to the sport and do what we're asking you to do, you're not gonna compete. Well, then others, well, coach, our relay gonna lose if we don't have X, Y, and Z on there. I said, well, that's on you all. You all are running that relay. And if you want somebody on your relay that don't come to practice, don't put the time in, but just because you believe they fast, I said, that's on you all. That's your mentality. And so, like I said, I'm old school. Kids with F's grades, no sir. No. You go home and get your grades and stuff together, because there's life after track and field. Your grades in high school are gonna follow you wherever you go in life.
Right.
And so I'm old school with that. I'm old school with that, coach. I'm old school with that. I like I said, I do give or take a little bit. They can have their headphones and all that stuff on while we on the bus going to the meet. But when we get to the meet, headphones, earbuds, and all that stuff got to come off, brother. And some kids don't like it because of their phones, because that's all that they know. And so you just kind of educate them and teach them it's a time and place for everything. And so I'm gonna stay old school, brother, because it works.
There it is. With old school, your training methods. Can you kind of give us an idea of what your training looks like? And again, keep in mind some of your competitors may be listening, so don't give us too much or give them too much.
Well, I'm gonna repeat Coach Nino Fenoy. There are no shortcuts to success. I don't care who's listening. You got to put the time in. The training starts with understanding your athlete. All athletes on day one are not at the same level physically, mentally, socially. Some in shape, some not in shape. So you got to know the terrain of what you're dealing with, first of all. So your training is centered and based upon meeting the athlete where they are. And you develop them from there. Everybody, if on day one, if you say, day one, we got 4 300s and 2 200s, well, everybody's not in that condition. Everybody's not in that shape level. Everybody doesn't even understand the concept of what you just said to them. A 400 and a 200, and you haven't showed them how to run it, the pace of it, pairing them with people who can get them and work with them at the level that they are. The flexibility, the stretch, and a lot of people don't want to put that kind of time in because it takes 40, 45 minutes out of their practice. But if you're bypassing those type of things, you're asking for injuries. So it's just putting that time in and meeting the athletes where they are and developing them on a pace, because kids don't look at time the way we look at it. For example, we know track season starts January 15th. Well, you actually got 4 months, less than 140 days, because you don't include Sundays, to build, for kids to believe, to build and bond 140 days. So that takes a lot. So I have the best assistant coaches that I could ask for, brother. I had them at Eastside. I brought a few over with me from to Cahokia. And because when your assistant coaches know what they're doing and the expectations of the program, I'm able to do some other things because I got people who know exactly what to do and how to develop athletes. So my training is simple: meet them where they are, develop them, and get them to believe that they can be great, not just good, that they can be great. Expose them to greatness. Had an athlete, the guy who won, Mitchell. He Class A. He won the 110s, the 300s.
Landon Mitchell, yeah.
Yes. Landon, 2 years ago, mother called because Landon has asthma, and the coaches wanted him to basically quit because they didn't want the liability if something happens to him. And I didn't know his mother. I didn't know Landon. But I told her Jackie Joyner-Kersee also has asthma. And that would be a good person for him to meet and just talk about how you manage and da-da-da-da-da-da. And so she brought him down to the center. Jackie met him. They talked. Jackie gave him some shoes. And this kid has just taken off like a rocket in terms of his confidence and his management of his asthma. And he always says, I thank Miss Jackie Joyner-Kersee, because he had no idea, even though people told him that he shouldn't be running, that he could run. And this boy has become a 2-time state champion. So wow. Exposure is everything, man. And like I said, exposing these kids to greatness, exposing these kids to that next level. They got to see it because this is a visual generation. They just got to see it. What you're saying, I hear what you're saying, but if I can't see it, then it doesn't exist for me. And so I'm big on exposure for athletes.
Hey, one thing that I've noticed, and maybe Johnny, he can speak for himself, being an inner city coach, is getting kids to buy into 400 meters and up. I noticed you put some 4x8s out there that went toe to toe with some of the best perennial powers in the state of Illinois. I believe one year you got all state in that. I think in that race with Nequa Valley and went like 7:45. I think you had a team that goes 7:48. Willie Johnson, Estes, I forget his first name. Yeah, that team. How tough of it is a sale for? I mean, how tough is it to sell 400 meters middle distance to inner city kids? Because I've seen the struggles in on the south side. Up north, they get all the distance runners. On the south side,
right,
400 meters is distance.
Well, I think, Coach, the selling really, it's the coach. It's the coach because this is my opinion. A quarter miler is just crazy. That's just a mindset that you have a high tolerance for pain. Especially, I'm talking about if you're gonna be successful. I'm just talking about if you're just gonna go out there and run 56, 57. But I'm talking about quarter milers that's gonna put that time and stuff in, that work in. They built a little different mentally. But I think the sale of it is simple. The sale is if you're gonna qualify for state, that's what most coaches talk about all the time. Qualifying for state, getting to the state meet. Then we're talking about standards again. How do you get there? What does it take to get there? You may not get there week 1, week 2, week 4, week 6. It may take you week 12. But each day or each meet, you just look for the improvement. You look for the fight. You look for the mindset that I can do this. And once they believe, and that's the key to any athlete in any event, once they believe that they can do it, I think it takes on a different meaning for them. Again, the 800 meters, the mile is for, and because I can't understand, Coach, and me and my coach get into it all the time about this. How do you coach cross country where they run 3 miles? But we get to a track meet and we don't have a miler. But the same kids who ran cross country are out the track. Well, Coach, they don't want to run the mile. I said, Coach, they don't have a choice like that, brother. If they in your program and this is what we need them to run, this is what they're going to run, or they won't run at all. And so that's another compromising point because, like I said, man, Coach go at it all the time. I just don't get it. But it again is selling the program. They'll run the 800. They'll run the mile relay, the quarter of the mile relay, but that mile, that 3,200, is something about it. I don't know. It's not all blacks because we know some blacks that can run it, but most of the inner city kids, that's too far, and I'm not going to get laughed at. I'm not going to get on the bus and get joned and all of that. So I think a lot of that apprehension and all of that stuff goes into to that making. But it's the coach. It's the coach. The coach got to sell it. The coach got to have them to believe that they can do it. And the workouts and everything got to be geared toward that.
And you know what, Coach, what you said? It is like the difference, I think, when me and you was running and the kids now, I did what my coach asked me to do.
Absolutely.
I didn't talk back. He told me we're going to go out here and have some fun. He knew that I hated to lose. So he'll put me on the anchor leg, 4x1, 4x2, and 4x4. I didn't understand the 400. I went 47 in high school, and it was like, man, I need you to run this 400. I'm gonna tell you how to run it. And then, Coach, like I don't know if I told Pierre, I ran the 800 before. And he said, well, my coach used to always tell me, I'm gonna tell you where you need to be or what time you need to run.
Right.
And I did it, you know.
Yep.
So
you believe
these kids,
in your coach.
These kids, you tell them they run the 400. What I do wrong, Coach? Why you punishing me?
Right.
The 400 ain't no punishment.
Yeah.
Look, I tell the kids it's easier to run a 400 than it is to 4x1, 4x2. I How many false starts you seen, Coach, in the 4x4? Or
Very little.
a drop baton or ran out the zone?
Very
You know?
little. Very few. But Coach, I think it's back what you said. See, it's also the culture, like in East St. Louis. East St. Louis is known to have a mile relay.
Yeah.
So
absolutely,
that's what it is.
Hey, y'all got a song.
And so that has become the pride and joy of East St. Louis, the mile relay.
Y'all have a song.
Everybody knows if you're going to be on this mile relay, because we're going to have one, you got to be a goon. And prime example about that mentality, Alonzo Nelson has done a phenomenal job with the program at Belleville West. But, of course, Alonzo Nelson from East St. Louis, he knows the mentality. He knows the culture. So when we go to track meets, he knows it's going to come down to the mile relay. I don't care who wins the meet. It's about this mile relay. And so, again, we're talking about when people know, like Alonzo, he knows how East St. Louis operates. And because he's from East St. Louis, he ran on the mile relay. He knows that's the pride and joy. And so he has got his athletes to believe now that they just as great, not only as East St. Louis, but anybody in the state. They can run with anybody in the state. And so, again, it's that culture that's bred. And the coaches and the athletes believe it. And so the standard has to always be, like with your program, Proviso East and West have phenomenal histories. And those guys just got to understand what they're walking into. That you're just not walking into a track program, but you're walking into a tradition. And so that's how I view that, brother. It's the culture, and that's the way that is. Because again, when you look at Alonzo Nelson, everything that he and Don have incorporated into that track program. That's the recipe from East St. Louis, and the recipe is simple. Ain't no shortcuts to success. You got to put the work in. You got to develop them. You got to put the time in. And that's what he does, and that's what he's willing to do in his staff, and they're getting the results that hard work pays off. And I'm proud of him because I coached Zoe when he was when I was assistant coach at East St. Louis in hurdles. So I'm very proud of him to see that he's taking that program. And again, watch this: most of the kids that's at Belleville West, they're from East St. Louis. Their parents are from East St. Louis. And so when we get to the track meet, it's the East St. Louis reunion because their parents are from Lincoln and Assumption and East Side, but their kids and grandkids are running up here in Belleville now. And that was because when the schools merged, some parents just didn't want their kids to go to East St. Louis at all. And then the other thing was they started that junior Flyers football. And that was another thing that they thought that would work and bridge the middle schools, but they took the middle school football programs out of the middle school and made it a junior Flyers program. But now football, that's a strictly money business now, to where the kids that play junior football, when they get to the 8th grade or 9th grade, they transfer on to these other schools because they know they're not going to play at East Side. Because now you don't have to develop football players. You can just go find them. You can just go find them anywhere in the country. And so that's just the nature of the beast of the sport.
Yeah. I think y'all have a 4x4 song, too. At least I heard the girls singing it. I don't know about the boys.
Well, the girls tripping. They have a huge rich tradition, especially because Niecy Gunner and some of the other athletes because that mile relay Eastside used to have, they used to take Jackie down to the wire. Eastside and Lincoln. So there's a tradition there. That team I think was 88, 89 with Coach Rushmore, where they scored 120 some points. I mean, the tradition is there. I just think, like you was talking about, Johnny, biting into it now. They're afraid to hurt. They're afraid of the embarrassment. If they don't win, they're going to get laughed at and talked about. So they, instead of putting the work in, they choose excuses as to why they can't be great.
I tell them, coach, all the time. I say, y'all scared to be great.
Yes, they are.
I say, we didn't have this 200-meter Super X Mondo track when I was at Proviso. That track outside it was tar. We had to put tape on our shoes.
Yes.
After each race.
Yes.
We had to scrape it off with a screwdriver. I say I ran on cinders. I say, man,
Yes,
if
sir.
we had this when I was in high school, and I say, y'all don't take advantage of this, y'all let people come to your school and beat y'all. I say that's a problem. It wasn't acceptable when I was in high school. You weren't walking in Proviso West and beat Johnny Nolan in nothing. Nothing.
No.
At all.
No.
You weren't beating Kerwin Beatty. You weren't beating Julius Edwards. Man, it's so many track stars that came out of Proviso West. You weren't walking in here beating us. I don't care if we was running on concrete. You weren't gonna beat us.
Yes, sir. That's the pride, though. That's the pride, coach. That's the pride, man. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this, coach.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a big one. After one of the best coaches down there, and Millsap left, and one of his kids came back and coached. But can you tell us about your coaching at Cahokia, your 1-year reflection?
Yeah, it was challenging because I didn't know them. I didn't know any of them. I didn't have a relationship with any of them. I didn't know any of their parents. I didn't know any of the administrators. I didn't know many of the teachers. So the unknown was challenging, because how do you get kids that you don't know, they don't know you, to buy into your philosophy of track and field? Most of those kids knew and have worked with Coach Millsap. They knew his style. Coach Lil Doc was there. He was the coach before me. He had his style. He had his way of doing things. So how do you merge all of this? And it was challenging, but because you get them, coach, to believe, to bond, and that's I did a lot of team building with those guys, because I didn't know their mindsets. I knew some people say, oh man, he did this last year, or this is the fastest kid this year. But if the kid don't have certain work ethic, it's not gonna work for me. So just just trying to navigate the waters. Millsap, man, legend, brother. The things that he accomplished at Cahokia, them 6 state championships, he has left a footprint that nobody, I don't think in my lifetime at Cahokia would be able to even accomplish anything like that. So again, it was just getting to know them, getting them to believe in me. Give you an example what happened. A few of my athletes transferred from Eastside to Cahokia. And so they came with a certain mindset and a certain mentality of dog goon from day one. Well, when they saw that the others didn't have it, they had a problem with those guys thinking it was something wrong with them. And you letting them know there's nothing wrong with them. They just don't know what you know. And so you bond with them. You work out with them. You talk with them in practice. You've been to the mountaintop. You know what it looks like up there. So getting your athletes and your teammates to come along with you, brother. So that was challenging, but it all worked out because, like I said, Lil Doc, awesome coach. We clicked it off day one, worked well, had the same philosophy in terms of training, development, practice, academics. So that worked really well. So I'm expecting great things now for this next season. If my man Jaden didn't go down in that 100, because those were the points in the 100, and the points in the 200 those points were needed to win the state meet. So I'm excited, brother. I can't wait to get back to the drawing board.
Actually, I was actually at the finish line. You probably wasn't paying attention, nor should you be. When he fell in that 100, I saw you come to the top of the stand just yelling, "Finish, finish," all that. So, you put him out there in that 200 final to get a point.
Yes.
They say it didn't matter too much, but like one would have to assume if healthy, he would have been there.
Oh yeah, well, it was his idea, because he was saying, "Coach, I want to just score a point for the team. Just let me score a point for the team." And I talked to him, talked to his mom, and she said, "Coach, if he's able to jog, let him go." And so that was a moment that he'll never forget, because he won that sportsmanship award for what he did. Again, it was unfortunate, because I tell her, I don't care if you fall in the hurdles, get up, finish. That's where I come from. That's that old school. Finish, get up. I didn't know the severity of his injury at the time. I was just caught in the moment that he went down, and we weren't gonna score no points if you stay on the ground. So again, that's how it went down, brother. But that's track and field. So
most definitely. Let's get into some IHSA stuff. You've been on the scene, multi-time state champion and trophy winner. A lot of state champions, all staters. The current IHSA season or state series, whichever. What changes you think need to be made, in your opinion?
Well, I'm cool. I'm cool with us competing that Friday, running that Saturday. And the reason why I'm cool with it is because I position my athletes during the season for back-to-back meets, being able to look at their recovery, things of that nature. The thing that I would change, brother, is that video rule, where you can't use video to I guess to argue or to against the referee's decision about a disqualification or whatever. And the reason I said that was I had the top hurdler in the state. His name was Marcus Greer. And Marcus was in the hurdles, in the prelims. The boy bowls him and knocks him into the other lane. But because, you're running hurdles, I got to go. I got knocked out the way, and he finished in the wrong lane. Clearly, the referee didn't even see that he got knocked in the other lane. He just saw that the guy at the finish line raised the red flag that he finished in the wrong lane. And I didn't know the rule at the time. So I had ran down there with my phone, with another coach's phone, trying to show them that. And that's when I found out videos are not allowed. Video footage is not allowed in IHSA. It's the decision of the referee. And I just felt, man, almost humiliated. Number one, that I didn't know the rule, but number two, how could this be? And it's clear as day on the video that this kid got knocked into another lane. So I asked the question, well, can you let him run it over by himself to qualify? Well, that's we're not going to do that. This is the decision of the judge, and oh man. So some stuff I think now that we're in this video age, some stuff should be reviewed.
Yeah.
Because mistakes are made, and you don't see it all. You ain't gonna see it all. So, but I heard that they were talking about changing the dates for like Thursday would be like class, because class 1A runs on Thursday anyway. So I think they were talking combining class 1A and 2A on Thursday and run class 3A on Friday. But they was running Friday anyway, but they was just running late because they was getting finished sometimes 8:30, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and then had to turn right around in the morning to run Saturday. So I think that class 2A sits in a pretty good spot. So I won't have no changes about that. So
Man, I've been
Hey,
at
Coach.
2A for 10 years. That 8 o'clock is brutal.
Yeah, let me ask you this,
They need
Coach,
to pass this.
and because you said this back in your about an hour ago. I just wish it'd go back to what it used to be. Class 1A, 2A. All these different classes. You know, we can run, if they want to, we can run Thursday, give us a day of rest, let us come back and run Friday. Run Saturday.
yeah.
Then,
All right. Well, I no. Well, I ain't scared of competition. I don't care what classes they come from.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because we got so many schools now, you got more schools than we had before in the state series. So splitting them up, I think that's a good thing, because let's just say if you ran all the class 1A, let's just say Thursday, and all the class 2A on Friday, we still got to get up the people on Friday class 2A and run Saturday. So nobody really gets a day off except class 1A.
yeah,
So
you're right. That's not fair.
No, so unless you and I mean, there's no way that they can run it all on one day without having the prelims to get to the final. So I don't know, Coach.
Yeah. It's an everlasting debate. Everlasting.
Yeah.
Let's get into some rapid fire type stuff. Some fun things real quick. What would be your dream job within track and field if offered to you tomorrow? And it could be anything. It could be a college coach, announcer, whatever. What would be your dream job? Or maybe we could just say what would be if any particular college called and said, hey, the job is yours, which college would you want that to be?
Well, Coach, I came from college. That was my first coaching job. I started at Kentucky State University as assistant boys, men's and women's track coach. So I was that for 3.5 years. I wouldn't want to go back to my dream job would be either an announcer for the championships like Nike, New Balance, Adidas, all of that, the high school championships, that kind of stuff. I enjoy that. I enjoy meeting the athletes and interacting with the athletes and all that stuff, brother. So that would be my dream job, would be a sports announcer.
That's right. Actually, you know what? My first time seeing you was 2016. I think it was 2016. The football team won the title. You was like the MC. You was getting everybody hyped with this whatever this song is y'all singing, the whole crowd. I'm like, I don't know what they saying, but everybody seems to be hyped. Like what? I'm like, I don't know what they saying, but it was on YouTube. I was watching that. Yeah, I didn't know what that was. Sir. Yeah, that's actually my first time hearing you.
But that was my major in college, speech, communication, radio, television.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I had come back home, I did the sports and the court reporting for Channel 16 cable in St. Louis, and I did some East St. Louis news kind of reporting. So that's my background, but I love it, man. I love it, bro.
If you could, Cahokia now, if Cahokia can co-op with any school in the state of Illinois, who are you picking?
Ooh.
We already know it's not Proviso. I'm kidding.
I'm going with Madison.
Oh, Madison.
Madison Trojans. And the reason I would go with them is because they're the underdogs. They've been long overlooked, but those young boys deserve the excellence, the exposure of any other program. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, and because they close to home. Again, Madison, that's all a part of the region for us. But Madison have gifted athletes over there.
Yep.
And a lot of times when you don't necessarily have the resources or the know-how, because the coaches are there that are bringing that program along great. But I would co-op with them just so that these guys, and I'm not even talking about co-op to win a state title. I'm talking about co-op to expose these young kings, man, to the next level of life. They deserve it, and that's what I would love to do if I had that opportunity.
Yeah, shout out Coach T. Young. That's my guy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. The bar was that's the man. That's the man, brother.
Yeah.
And he's doing a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job.
That's right. We actually saw him at the Boys State meet in the hotel, Johnny, out at Effingham.
Right.
Yeah. Oh. If they could make a movie about you, who's portraying Barry Malloyd?
If they could make a movie about me, who's portraying Barry Malloyd? I would probably say one of my former athletes named Kevin Johnson, because he can imitate and mark me to a T.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Malloyd.
Samuel Jackson?
No, I was going to say Eddie Murphy.
Oh, you talking celebrities or you just as a kid?
Oh, we talking about an actor. Anybody. Speaking of Kevin Johnson, Kevin Johnson might watch. I sent him a message on Facebook. He'll probably see it 3 weeks after the show.
Oh, okay.
I sent him a message trying to get him on, but didn't work out.
Well, if we go celebrity, brother, I would go. What's his name? Jordan. What's his name? Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Obviously America 250 just passed on the 4th of July. If you had to come up with a Mount Rushmore of track and field in Illinois history, but we'll say boys, you coach boys, who would be on your Mount Rushmore, but you cannot use athletes from East St. Louis or Cahokia? And I know that's hard given the success you had and the region.
That's very hard, because if it ain't from East St. Louis or Cahokia, ain't no mountain.
Oh, man.
No,
yeah.
But
those are two historic programs, yes.
My Mount Rushmore would be Greg Foster, Wallace Spearman Sr.
Ooh.
Yes.
Mike Conley.
Yep.
And Craig Virgin.
Oh, Craig Virgin. And he put a distance guy in there. Actually, he's from Lebanon. Yeah. That's up the street.
Yeah, but Craig was outstanding, man. I mean,
Craig Virgin.
Yeah.
Big Mamas, East St. Louis. People say if I ever go to East Side, go to Big Mamas and get the barbecue pig snout. Is the hype real about the barbecue pig snout?
Snoot. Ain't no snout. It's snoot.
Hey, I'm from the north. I call it a snout. Either way, it's the nose of a pig.
Now sounds like a nose, but a snoot.
A snoot.
I would say go to Big Mama's. Yeah, brother. Yeah. I would go to Big Mama's, and I would go to Diane's for her soul food, brother. Diane's is located on 25th Street in Gateway Market, and her food's so good to make you want to slap your mama.
Hey, Malloyd, so that's Malloyd, so that's how you, is it good as that chicken up here?
Well, brother, I'm gonna have to tell you the absolute truth. Her chicken, your chicken is different in terms, because Diane, I go there, I get the smothered chicken, the baked chicken, the fried chicken, the chicken fricassee, whatever chicken she got. But your chicken, brother, got some kind of sauce flavor jerk on it or something, man, that I got to have it, brother. I got to have it. So y'all do chicken, y'all do it a little differently. But there is a love for your chicken up there, brother. Yes, sir.
You hear that, Johnny? You got to come to the World, assuming Cahokia is coming back next year. And you got to be at Gately with that chicken, bro. Stop playing with us.
But
Yeah.
look, mentioning that, so Coach, again, we talking about the challenges at Cahokia. Well, coming from East Side, I'm used to going to. It's already known. I'm going to New Balance or Nike Indoor National. I'm going to Kansas Relays. But when you don't have the same kind of resources, for example, my kids was tripping because we had to ride the yellow bus the whole school year.
That's okay.
So we're used to riding over the road, the coach buses and all this kind of stuff, especially when we go out of town. Anything over 4 hours, that we have a coach bus. And so, but just letting them know it's not the bus that you're on, it's the athletes who are occupying the seats on the bus that's gonna make a difference, because we're at the state meet. Don't nobody care what bus you came. They don't even care how you even got up here. And when you win, you forget what kind of bus you. A year later, you forgot what kind of bus you was on. All you know is we won. So when the resources are different or not as what I'm accustomed to, like I said, East Side, brother, East St. Louis. I mean, those athletic programs have the best of the best, and we were able to travel, basically make our own schedule, go where we want to go. As opposed to now, you got to kind of stay within certain kind of restraints, and which worked out well, because I'm flexible like that. I just want to go to the track meet. I don't care if we're going on a bus or a limousine, just get me to the meet. But yeah. I must say, so not having a lot that you're accustomed to was also a challenge. So, for example, again, when we go, the hotels, the food, the transportation, that's taken care of. There's no fundraising. We didn't have to do none of that, in a sense, to go where we needed to go. But when some school districts aren't set up yet like that in the athletic program, you have to do these things if this is where you want to go. So we had to do those things to get to Nike Indoor Nationals and stuff like that. So you just have to do what you have to do. So I said that about the meet coming, you all's meet. So the Gately meet, which is usually our first meet, that's not put on by you though, is it, Coach?
I'm sorry, you said it wasn't what?
It's not hosted by you guys. You have your own meet, right?
No, we host the world. South Shore High School. I was an assistant there this year. We hosted that, myself and Jason Cooper. So yes, we'll be back in 27.
Pierre, you hosted that meet last year?
Yes, South Shore High School. Yes.
I didn't know that, brother. Wow. So that's where you are, South Shore?
Yes.
Okay.
The school that busted up East St. Louis 10 years in a row. That's another story. Sorry. That's on the girls' side. We denied Nino Fenoy 10 consecutive state titles back in the 80s. He would have had 10 in a row in the 80s. The South Shore won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, brother. I told you, learning something new, man.
Hey, we still get an invite to the JJK Classic, so he's gotten over that. So
okay. Now, but you all didn't come this past year, did you?
No, you guys did I come to the meet last year?
To JJK, right?
No, I did not. No, we went to Texas this year, and I come down for the Belleville West Invitational every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that has turned into a controversy for us.
I know, man. Y'all moved the meet. I mean, when East St. Louis came.
Well, Jackie moved the meet to the second week in April because of the weather. For a couple of years in a row, that first week always provided, inclement weather. But Alonzo, who had the choice to move his to the first week or keep his at the second week, he moved it to the second week year before, because IHSA pushed everything back a week. But now that he has his meet on the same day as JJK, East St. Louis is just livid about that because, Don, Lonzo, they're from East St. Louis, and that was my thing. I would come to your meet because you come to our meet. But now that you choose to keep yours on the same day as JJK, it's just a division in the city, bro.
Yeah, it's tough because given all the northern teams that come down to Belleville, moving that would probably hurt that meet turnout. And I just assume they don't want that. They can speak for themselves. But I know personally I wouldn't come if it was a week earlier or later to Belleville. Okay. That's just me.
And maybe Pierre coaches have expressed that to Alonzo.
Yeah.
And so he has to do, because it's an outstanding meet, very well.
Good meet, yeah.
And everything. So it's a first class meet, no question about it. It's just that for me, when I was at Eastside, of course I wouldn't go to his meet if you weren't coming to our meet. We had kind of had that understanding. And then now that I'm at Cahokia, because Eastside was getting ready to come to that meet. And they had to pump the brakes from downtown and say, no, you're not going to miss your own home meet to go to another meet. And so that's the kind of division I'm talking about. So now Eastside, North Cahokia will be at his meet as long as it's on the same day as JJK.
Wow.
So
it's a lot of competition in that Metro East. Yeah, a lot of returners too.
Yes, sir.
Let me get you actually give me a quick answer here. I missed one. Who is East St. Louis' biggest rival?
In which sport?
Track and field for you during your tenure. Who's your biggest rival?
Wow, brother. You
can't plead the fifth if you want to. Your choice.
It changes every year. Locally, our biggest rival has been, I'd say within the last 3 or 4 years, has been Cahokia and Belleville West.
Sure.
Statewide, our rivalry has been Mascouda. So they'll win one, we won one, and it's kind of, when they see us or we see them, okay, I hope you ate your Wheaties. I hope you said your prayers, because it's only popping today. So that's kind of the mindset of that rivalry.
That's right. And we'll get you out of here, Coach, with this. Once again, thanks for joining us on this episode. We are going to task you with trying to get Nino Fenoy on this show. And Coach Leroy Millsap. We have a call out for both.
Okay. Do you have Millsap number?
Oh, we got it. Me and Johnny working it. He's ducking and dodging us like a boxer. We thought he was a track coach, not a boxer.
Right.
So we're in with this. You've been at Eastside for quite some time. Now you transitioned to Cahokia. You did retire once and you came back, as you mentioned, but I'm sure at some point in the future, you're going to hang up the whistle and the stopwatch once again. Once you do that, what would success have looked like in the eyes of Barry Malloyd?
Success, when I hang up that whistle and stopwatch, success for me would be the fruits of my labor. That means, did these guys that God allowed my paths to cross with, did I impact or improve them? In other words, how are they as citizens? Are they proud, productive citizens moving on with their families and their futures? If I see those things, and if I know those things, that's success for me, because everybody knows in sports, one day it's going to be over. But what are you as a African American male, a proud father, a proud husband, a proud citizen? What difference are you making now in the lives of other young people, especially African American males? Are you giving back to the community? Are you pouring back what was poured into you? So when I start to begin to see those things and know those things, that's success for me, brother. That's success, because that lets me know that my living has not been in vain, and that they did get it. That they did get it. And even at times when I thought that they didn't, or they didn't hear me, or they didn't understand, they got it now, and they're doing well in life. And that's success for me, brother.
Well said, Coach. Well said.
There you have it, folks. Barry Malloyd, Between the Lanes.